Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Anthony Carlisle. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in the show today, the Indonesian Special Forces celebrate their 60th anniversary by co-hosting a free clinic with Tzu Chi. A new definition of flyover as the Highway Authority in Taiwan makes changes to a major road to protect a rare species of migrating butterflies. And in today's look at the traditional trades of Taiwan, we meet the people who still make incense the old-fashioned way by rolling it by hand. We start today's show in Indonesia, where the country's special forces celebrated their 60th anniversary with a free clinic organised together with Tzu Chi. Over the whole day, TEMA and military doctors saw a total of 900 patients from poor families. Getting off a military truck, everyone lines up in the square. This is not an evacuation, but the 60th anniversary of the Indonesian Special Forces. The elite military unit is celebrating with a charity event.
The
Tzu Chi Foundation has helped quite a few countries because internationally they are universally recognized by everyone. Tzu Chi's free clinic program is a very good model. Everyone knows Tzu Chi, and cooperating with the free clinic program will definitely help people in real need.
Taung Pia is a mother of 9. When her husband was injured at work, her family lost its main source of income. But at the free clinic, at least her children can get the medical treatments they need.
Our family has trouble getting 3 meals a day, so we don't have any money to take the children to see a doctor. We can't send the children to hospital, which makes me feel terrible.
The medical staff in our special forces and the Tzu Chi medical team had to work together to make this free clinic happen. For example, the medicine was donated by Tzu Chi. The care recipients are mainly poor people from the surrounding villages.
Residents of the 8 villages served by the free clinic are mainly temporary workers who do not have a stable income. When a family member falls ill, they cannot afford medical treatment.
Ya, saya senang ada pengobatan gratis.
I'm very happy to receive this free medical service. I hope my son can make a quick recovery. It pains me so much to see him like this. I'd rather not eat.
It costs money to see a doctor. My 2 children and I all have scabies. If we went to a doctor, it would cost a lot of money. But it's free here, which is really a great help to me.
At today's free clinic, the usually stern soldiers are showing everyone their softer and kinder side. Another free clinic, this time in the Philippines, where Tzu Chi volunteers helped local resident Salvador Doc see again. The 48-year-old injured his eyes at work but didn't get immediate treatment and developed cataracts. When volunteers visited Salvador, they found he was living in poverty.
This wood is used for cooking. Salvador, who suffers from cataracts in both eyes, doesn't have the money to purchase a gas stove.
I live in poverty and don't have a wife who can take care of me. I can't walk by myself and I feel inferior and have no one to talk to.
48-year-old Salvador was an electrician who injured his eyes while hammering a nail. Instead of seeing a doctor, he just used eye drops and soon developed cataracts in both eyes, which left him jobless. Thanks to the Tzu Chi free clinic, he finally regained his eyesight.
If I know someone who is also poor and needs treatment, I will bring them here.
Poor people who suffer from cataracts are filled with gratitude to be able to have their eyes treated. In front of Master Zheng Yan's picture, the patients learn to say thank you in Chinese. They also hope to spread their good fortune to others in need.
Tzu Chi volunteers from the USA continue to spread good fortune in Samoa. After helping victims of the 2009 tsunami, the team explored the possibility of developing a recycling program on the Pacific island. Their journey took them from a garbage dump to the governor's office. Tzu Chi volunteers from the United States are on an overseas mission to American Samoa. to promote environmentalism. On their fact-finding tour, they discover the island is home to 50,000 discarded plastic bottles.
Of course, PET bottles are probably a problem for the people of American Samoa. If they don't burn them, they bury them.
After noticing bottles and cans tipped into the landfill, the visiting volunteers tell an official from the Energy Office about the benefits of recycling.
How to generate those into more useful materials, stuff to use into the daily lives.
When he learns that discarded garbage can be made into clothing, the governor of American Samoa breaks into a smile and shakes his head in amazement.
I don't believe in those things.
A curious Tokiola Tulafono puts on a cap made of PET bottles and with growing interest inspects the other products brought by the volunteers. Not missing a chance to raise awareness about the environment, the volunteers whipped out garments made of recycled plastic as soon as they arrived at the airport and shared them with curious people. Yesterday, we introduced you to Taiwan's migratory purple crow butterfly. As you might know, Highway number 3 intersects the insect's migratory path. Large numbers of butterflies used to die every year trying to cross the road until the National Highway Bureau decided to act in 2007. We now introduce you to the world's first butterfly-friendly highway.
Highway Bureau has dispatched its utility vehicles onto Highway 3 for a special mission today.
When the butterflies come down from Mount Pinding, they see a highway 8 meters in width. As they fly across, what do they run into on the outside lane? Big trucks, which crush them as soon as they fly over.
Choose to cross the highway. The seasonal migratory species leaves Maoling in southern Taiwan in spring and heads north. Along the way, they pass Kaohsiung, Tainan, Meishan, Mount Bagua, Taichung and Miaoli, and eventually arrive in Taipei. Since the butterflies remember the easiest and quickest route, for hundreds of years they have remembered the shortest distance between Pinding and the Bagua Mountains in Yunlin County. Unfortunately, humans also decided to build their highway here, blocking the butterflies' path. Still, they push on, unaware of the dangers posed by man-made objects. If the butterflies don't gain enough altitude while crossing, they usually don't survive.
The butterflies are not just crushed head-on by fast-moving vehicles. Draft is created by a vehicle's doors and rear ends. As the butterfly is very small and light, it tends to be sucked in by the draft, which drags it down underneath the vehicle, where it lays unconscious and eventually gets run over by another car.
Speeding vehicles traveling on roadways disturb the airflow, creating swirling eddies of air. When the small light butterflies are close by, they may be sucked in by the vortex and die. Having been notified of the situation by scientists, Taiwan's National Highway Bureau decided to act. Starting in 2007, fences over 4 meters high, higher than average trucks, were erected along this part of the highway. Tall trees were also planted along the hillsides along the highway.
Butterflies are quite nearsighted. Compared to human vision, it's as if they see things through a pair of mosaic glasses, so they see large color patches. When they plant 4-meter tall trees along a bridge, butterflies know there are obstacles ahead and they need to start climbing, which will ensure they have enough clearance.
And when there are more than 300 purple crow butterflies crossing the highway per minute, the Bureau will close down the outside lanes to minimize harm done to the insect.
Back in 2007, the mortality rate among the butterflies crossing the highway was about 3 to 4%. By 2011, we had decreased that figure to about 0.225%.
The National Highway Bureau's conservation effort has become the pride of Taiwan.
In the whole wide world, which highway is willing to close down some of its lanes for migratory butterflies? Taiwan is the first to set an example whereby we humans can work together with nature. That's really remarkable. We'll have more on the remarkable story of Taiwan's migratory butterflies tomorrow. But back to today and our next item on kind-hearted doctor Chen Wen-de, who runs a clinic in front of Taichung's Wuri station. Also a Tzu Chi volunteer, Dr. Chen has been inspired by Master Zheng Yan's recent call for people to eat 80% full.
Inside this clinic, senior residents are listening intently to Dr. Chen Wen-de's sharing on vegetarianism.
They feed the pigs with hormones and antibiotics so that the animals may grow fat in whichever part they want.
Chen has been a doctor for more than 30 years, so the patients all take in whatever he suggests.
I will stick the medication on for you so that it won't hurt. If it's hurting, you must tell me.
His presence gives patients a sense of comfort.
Stand up straight. Are you feeling better? All right, let's do it again.
Chen Wen-de is not just a well-known doctor, but also a kind-hearted man. Patient Zhang Dajing arrives with a bag of vegetables to share with Chen.
You see, he's dressed casually, just like us farmers. I've never seen him in suits. He's just a very wonderful doctor, indescribably good. He's donated a few millions, nearly 10 million now.
Having grown up in tough conditions, Chen understands the difficulties of the needy families and therefore always tries to help whenever he can.
I say to the patient, the money that I give, I wouldn't ask for it back. I'm helping you because I care. You're not earning a lot and you still have a debt to pay off, with a monthly interest of 2,500 NT dollars. That day he came, he left in tears, and I was in tears as well.
The compassionate doctor, however, lives a simple and frugal life.
I've had this since I set up this clinic. I picked it up from the garbage. It was a cupboard for storing vegetables. It was left outside a photo developer. I brought it back and gave it a paint. It's more than 30 years old now. It's a tool of my trade.
The medical equipment and tools are all second-hand items either purchased or recycled by Chen in 1977.
There's no need to get a new bed frame. This is still usable, so we shouldn't waste it. It would be a pity to throw it away. It's not broken. It just needs repainting. It's still structurally quite strong.
The doctor does not own a car or a mobile phone and only has a few clothes. His wife Chen Yangxue even grows their own vegetables inside the garden.
Before, we didn't have much to eat, so we had to be frugal, and now it has become a way of life. Donating the money to Tzu Chi is great, to help people who don't have food to eat. I often tell my kids that they have to cherish what they have.
The remaining 20% can help those in need. There are currently 1 billion people living in starvation. I always order 200 or 300 copies of this booklet.
Chen Wen-de is determined to promote Tzu Chi's philosophy to those around him.
1 meal for rich people is equivalent to 6 months' worth of food for the poor. As long as we have enough to eat, we should share a little with others. It might help them get by for a few months, a few years, or even a lifetime.
This small clinic filled with love and care is always packed with people. 74-year-old Chen Wen-de says he will continue to help others whenever and wherever he can.
The purpose of life is not about how wealthy you are, but how much you have contributed to society.
Tzu Chi is currently holding a photographic exhibition in Tokyo, Japan, on the March 11th earthquake and tsunami. Before the show opened, volunteers from Japan and Taiwan gathered at the venue to get everything ready.
On day 3 after the March 11th disaster, Tzu Chi volunteers went to Taiwan's representative office in Japan. Before this exhibition opens, the man in the frame, Taiwanese volunteer Chen Jingfa, shares a warm reunion with the Japanese photographer Kouji Ueno.
After the disaster struck, Tzu Chi volunteers very quickly decided to help.
We can see a lot of local Japanese volunteers coming up, especially from Northeast, where we brought aid.
Also moved by Tzu Chi's support, the busy 32-year-old photographer made time to volunteer.
Today is the first time I have helped set up a photo exhibition. I hope everyone can learn about Tzu Chi through this show.
This will help more Japanese people get to know this organization, which serves residents of Japan without thoughts of reward.
The streets of Tokyo are a little wet and very cold today, but inside the photo exhibition, you can see lots of volunteers fixing up the venue. It's very touching.
Among the Taiwanese and Japanese volunteers working together is Luo Zhenzhong, who came all the way from Taoyuan. This huge poster, 7 meters long and 1.5 meters high, is a mosaic of 280 smaller snaps.
In the space available, we tried to use 280 photographs in a mosaic to enrich the whole exhibition area.
Summed up by the phrase, "When you suffer, I grieve," the exhibition has already brought distant people closer together before it even opens.
In Taiwan, some craftsmen still make incense by hand, but in recent years they've been under pressure from mass-produced joss sticks. In our next story, we speak to Mr. Wu Bonan, who has been making incense for more than 50 years.
Bunching the Makino bamboo sticks together and spreading them out like a bouquet repeatedly and in rapid succession, incense maker Wu Bonan works with such skill and dexterity that he seems to have control over every single stick. It is here in this brick house of less than 10 square meters that Wu Bonan has spent many years since his youth making bundle after bundle of incense.
The first step is to decide the length of the sticks. Dip them into the water up to the cutoff line, and then roll them in tree bark powder that is sticky and coats the surface.
A single Makino bamboo stick is used to demonstrate how incense is made. A mixture of incense ingredients is made to coat the soaked bamboo sticks. The coating process is undoubtedly the most painstaking step.
These sticks have been treated with water and then coated with adhesive powder. If you bunch them together, they will stick to one another. You need to use some muscle to spread them out. If you've never done this before, the end of the sticks will easily cut your palm.
Hands dry and scarred from incense making, Wu Bonan coats the core sticks evenly with incense powder and repeats the same step 4 times. He only got to the 3rd round at 11 a.m., having started working 5 hours ago.
My shoulders ache every day. The doctor says I have frozen shoulders. I told him I have more than frozen shoulders. He says it's occupational injury.
Unperturbed by his aches and pains, Wu Bonan moves the joss sticks to the rooftop to dry.
We incense makers come down with coats all the time because we are too lazy to throw on a jacket when we go out. It gets really windy on the rooftop.
After successive dry and wet treatments, the joss sticks must be completely air-dried so that they will burn easily. When asked about passing down his skills, Wu Bonan does not look too optimistic.
Even if you have acquired incense making skills and become a master at it, or are you going to make a business out of it? An incense shop doesn't get enough orders, and working a few days a month won't put food on your table.
The room inside used to be the workshop for 2 incense makers. They would begin at 6 each morning, work till 12, and then carry on until 4 in the afternoon.
78-year-old Gao Wuxun, another senior craftsman at the century-old incense shop, gives us a tour around the warehouse, which used to be packed with deliveries, but now stands forlorn after failing to compete with imported, cheap, machine-made incense. After an entire morning's work, Wu Bonan soaks the bottom of the joss sticks in a red dye, bringing an end to the labor-intensive procedure with certainty and practice efficiency. As for the future of this traditional industry, the incense maker remains undecided.
In the second part of our double feature on Taiwan's incense industry, we speak to the owner of a century-old shop in Tainan. As sales steadily decline, Mr. Wu Yanchun keeps the family business going by innovating and using marketing strategies.
At temples in Taiwan, worshippers habitually light up incense before they start praying. Wu Yanchun, the third-generation owner of a century-old incense shop, is looking at joss sticks from a different perspective.
The number of incense shops is down to single digits because no one is worshipping at temples anymore. This is already happening, so we need to develop the cultural aspects of joss sticks and innovate.
Wu Yanchun has had no shortage of ideas about reviving the traditional business.
The joss sticks now come in 40 to 80 gram packs, which are used up very quickly. We have also divided major and traditional brands into 4 broad categories.
From packaging to design, the joss sticks go through a makeover on the outside for greater appeal to modern customers. Before Wu Yanchun came back to help with the family business a few years ago, he had worked for the government and also as an academic.
Back in the 1930s, my family's incense shop was the biggest of its kind, but it closed down. I feel bad about not carrying on the business started by my grandfather. Also, a lot of my friends say that there are more professors than century-old business in Taiwan. Given the opportunity, I should come home and help out.
The wake-up call came when Wu Yanchun was nearly 60 years old when his father passed away. He admits that previously he firmly believed that only college degrees could get you anywhere. Joining the traditional family business meant a brand new start for him.
This was before, and now it's a bamboo cylinder.
Wu Yanchun's wife, Huang Shunhua, has a passion and an eye for art. Every day she brainstorms with her husband about ways to make joss sticks more appealing and meaningful for the younger generation. Along with their 86-year-old mother, Wu Yanchun and his wife are working hard to preserve this ancient art so that the culture of incense will never be lost from one generation to the next.
Finally today, around 30 volunteers from Kunshan in China's Jiangsu province went to a local nursing home to wash the elderly residents' feet. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.